you are having a good day so far. All week long, we have been talking about money. We've talked about pennies, we've talked about nickels, we've talked about dimes, and today we are going to be talking about quarters. So I will put this on present mode. We will go through our slide, and then at the end, you will have an independent practice that you need to do, and then there is your choice board. So as always, extra math is a must-do choice, and then you have 3 other choices that you can do. All right. So like I just said, we've been talking about money. We've talked about 3 other coins so far, pennies, nickels, and dimes, and we'll talk about quarters today. So the first coin we've been talking about, remember, this is all review. So at this point, you should be like, I know, Miss Bean, you've told me already. But we're going to keep going because it has to be engraved in there. Money is so important. You're going to use it every day of your life. I promise you. And you will thank me then. So here's a penny. A penny is worth 1 cent. On the front of a penny is our president, Abraham Lincoln. He's not our president anymore. He used to be our president. He was the 16th president. On the back of the penny is the Lincoln Memorial. It also says 1 cent. And it's copper in color. So it's easy to pick out because it's the only coin that's copper in color. 1 cent penny. So when you're counting it, you count by ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. There are 100 pennies in $1. Say that with me. There are 100 pennies in $1. Say it one more time. There are 100 pennies in $1. How many pennies? 100! All right. Then the next coin that we've been talking about is the nickel. A nickel is worth 5 cents. On the front of a nickel is our president, Thomas Jefferson. He was the 2nd president. And on the back of the nickel, it's his home, Monticello. And I told you that if you're ever in Virginia, you can go to Monticello and take a tour. On the back, it also says 5 cents. Now, when you're counting nickels, you count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and so on. There are 20 nickels in $1. Say that with me. There are 20 nickels in $1. One more time. There are 20 nickels in $1. How many nickels? 20! All right. Then yesterday we talked about dimes. And a dime is worth 10 cents. On the front of the dime is Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was a president. And on the back there is an olive branch, a torch, and an oak branch. This doesn't say that it's worth 10 cents. It just says 1 dime. So you need to know that 1 dime is worth 10 cents. When you count dimes, you count by tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. The dime, even though it is worth more than a nickel and penny, it's smaller than a nickel and penny. And I've always thought that that's kind of strange. Why would they make a coin that's worth more smaller? I wonder who we could talk to about that. There are 10 dimes in $1. Let's say that together. There are 10 dimes in $1. One more time. There are dimes in $1. Perfect. So now we're going to practice counting some amounts. Here is a group of nickels. Remember, when you are counting nickels, you count by 5s. So take a minute and count all these nickels and figure out what the answer is and hold it in your mouth. Do you have it? On the count of 3, you're going to say it. 45 cents. Now let's count it together. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. 45 cents. All right, now I have a collection of pennies. Take a minute, count all the pennies, and then hold the answer in your mouth. Remember, when you count pennies, you count by ones. All right, on the count of 3. 14. Did you get 14 cents? Let's count them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 cents. All right, we've counted nickels, we've counted pennies. What do you think is coming up next? Dimes! All right, when you count dimes, you count by tens. So take a minute, count all the dimes, figure out the value of this collection. Ooh, I noticed something. All right. $1. Did any of you say that? Let's count them together. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Or remember, 100 cents is the same as $1. And I see that I have 10 dimes, and there are 10 dimes in $1. Good job. All right, now we're going to take a minute and count some mixes of coins. And what I mean by that is on the last 3 slides, we counted just pennies or just nickels or just dimes. But now we're going to count when there are some nickels and some dimes. And the important thing to remember to make this a little bit easier is you are always going to count the coins with the largest value first. So if I think about dimes and nickels and pennies, well, a dime is worth 10, a nickel is worth 5, and a penny is worth 1. So I know that the dime is worth the most because it's worth 10. So I'm going to count all the dimes first. Then I know that a nickel is worth 5. That's the next coin that is worth the most. I started with my dime that's worth 10. Now my nickel is worth 5. So then I'll add on by counting all the nickels. Then finally I'll do pennies. So let's see what it looks like. All right, so here I have 1 dime and 1 nickel and 1 penny. So I just said that the dime is worth the most. It's worth 10. So I can just start with 10. Okay, then I'm going to count on 10 plus 5, 15. So 1 dime plus 1 nickel is 15. 10 plus 5 plus 1 penny. So plus 1. 10 plus 5 plus 1. 10, 15, 16. Say it with me. 10, 15, 16. So the value of this slide is 16 cents. Now I know that this is much harder than just counting a collection of one kind of coin because your brain has to switch back and forth from counting from 10s to 5s to 1s, and it can be tricky. So we're going to keep practicing it. So the next slide, still going to be a mix of coins. Remember, you're counting the largest amount first. All right, I see 2 dimes, a nickel, and 3 pennies. So I'm going to count the dimes first, then the nickel, then the penny. I'm going to give you a minute to do it by yourself, and then we'll do it together. All right, let's do it together. So I'm going to start with my dimes. I'm counting by tens. 10, 20, 25, because that's worth 5. Now I'm counting on by ones. I'm at 25, 26, 27, 28. So on this slide, it is worth 28 cents. All right, let's move on. Here we are talking about the quarter. The quarter is the biggest coin. It is worth the most. It is worth 25 cents. On the front of the quarter is George Washington, our very first president. And on the back, this one has an eagle, but really it varies. Sometimes it's an eagle, sometimes it's a picture of something that has to do with a state, sometimes it has to do with a national park. So you can't count on the back of the quarter always looking the same, but you can count on the front of the quarter having George Washington. And it also says $quarter on the front. All right, there are 4 quarters in $1. Say that with me. There are 4 quarters in $1. Now, if you have 1 quarter, it equals 25 cents. If you have 2 quarters, you have 50 cents. If you have 3 quarters, you have 75 cents. And if you have all 4 quarters, you have $1. I like looking at it like it's a piece of pie. So if you have 4 quarters, it equals a whole dollar. If you have 1 piece of the pie, you just have a quarter of it. If you have 2 pieces of the pie, you have half of it, or 50 cents. If you have 3 quarters of the pie, you have 3 quarters, or 75 cents. And then if you have all 4 pieces of the pie, you have $1. All right, so now we are going to count a little bit. Remember, if I have 3 quarters, if I have 1 quarter, if I have 2 quarters, so here we go. I have 3 quarters. So I'll count with this. 25, 50, 75. I have 3 quarters, so I know I have 75 cents. All right, this is trickier because it's more than $1. So I know that 4 quarters equals $1. And then I have 1 extra. So if I have $1, which is these 4 quarters, and then an extra quarter, then my answer would be $1.25. Here's my whole piece of pie, my 4 quarters, and then 1 extra quarter. So $1.25. All right, now I want you to go and find the Counting Quarters paper that is in your packet. Remember to write the amount. So let me exit out. Let me draw a text box. So when you are writing your answer for any of these, you need to make sure that you are writing the symbol, either the cent symbol or using the dollar symbol and doing it that way. Otherwise, I don't know that it's money. If you just write 2 or 25, well, does that mean 25 cookies? Does that mean $25? Does that mean $25 million? Okay, so let's say for the first one, here I have 4 quarters. I could write I would have to write $1 for this. Okay. Now for number B, I could write 50. I just learned how to make the cent sign with the Mac. Let me see. I just did it and now I forgot. Option 4. Here we go. Back to quarters. Option 4. Ha! So you could write that 50 cents or $0, because I don't have any dollars, decimal point 50. I'm going to erase this. So right here, letter B, you would write it like this. You could write it 50 cents, or you could write it $0, because I don't have any dollars, decimal point 50 cents. But that's how you need to write all of your answers down here. Okay, I'll bring it back to present. Then after you're done with your independent practice, here is your choice board. You must do extra math, and then you have 3 may-do choices. You may do MooseTube. I always call it MooseTube. That's a channel on GoNoodle. You may do Moose Math. Now, if you haven't downloaded that, you can find it in the app portal. It's free. Here is a little short video about the evolution of money, how we got to the system we are in today, the paper coins, because it didn't always used to be like that. So you can watch that. And then if you didn't design your own coin yesterday, you can do that today. All right, I hope you have fun. I hope this is making sense. We will continue to talk about coins and money next week. I will see you on Monday.